Welcome to Cellmates.
Hey, welcome to Cellmates.
Thanks for being here, Dick Ward.
I thank you for having me, Kate Phillips.
Well, it's so great to be on this podcast where we take 2 or more animated feature films and compare, contrast, and generally throw a Venn diagram over them and see what happens.
Yeah.
Often these movies are Disney.
But not always.
Often these movies are musicals.
But not always.
Often these movies are good.
But not always.
So, Dick.
Yeah, hey, Kate.
We've been doing this podcast for like, what, a year and a half?
Yeah.
A season and a half, you might say.
Yeah, we've been doing this for a while.
I got to tell you that one of my favorite episodes is one of our most insane episodes.
Is it the 30 Days of Plus where we did 30 episodes in a row?
Pretty insane, but not what I'm thinking of.
Is it the Alice in Wonderlands where it turns out the Care Bear movie was really good?
That was also insane.
Which one are you thinking of?
I'm thinking of Dino 4.
Oh.
The time where we looked at 4 dinosaur movies instead of our normal 2 because there were that many and we didn't know what else to do.
Yeah, there were a lot.
And so...
But we learned our lesson and we said we're only doing 2 movies.
Right?
Each thing from now on.
Until...
We
had I can't remember what exactly started this conversation, but I think we were doing some research into episodes for the new year and saying, okay, here, this compare with this compare with this. And you said, oh, we could do like that Bigfoot movie that came out.
We could do like those 2 Bigfoot movies together.
No, I think you said we could do that Bigfoot movie. And I said, which one? To which you said, wait, there is more than one?
Yeah. And then it was like a no-brainer. Like, cool, we take the 2 Bigfoot movies and we pair them.
And then it's like, oh no, there's a third one too. There's that one with Zach Galifianakis.
Oh, yeah.
And then, literally a day later, the Twitter user, I want to make sure I get, so the handle is Lacking Saint, Jack Frost Saint. At this point in time, it's probably winter. It alerted us to the fact that there are not 3, but there are at least 4 animated Yeti-based movies that have come out in the last 2 years. Before we say the name of these movies, Dick, what are you drinking?
Okay, so this is a concoction that we're calling Mountain Monster.
Mountain Monster.
It is not Mountain Dew and Monster Energy drink, but it is Monster Energy, specifically the blue Monster Energy.
We've got a lot of it today.
A little bit of spring mix syrup, which we get from a great place called...
Oh, Good Drinks. It's
Good
in
Drinks.
Beacon, New York. We'll put a link to it later.
We'll put a link. They're amazing. They make great syrups.
And
Anyway,
and a spring might refer to like...
To a mountain spring.
A mountain spring.
And Pinnacle vodka.
Fruity vodka.
It's sort of a fruity vodka. So we end up with a kind of refreshing, like, light blue drink.
It's a delightful light blue.
Yeah.
Like, I just kind of like want to swim in this or like write a thank you card on it.
Ooh.
I don't know. It's a nice, it's very pleasant.
Yeah, like for a energy drink cocktail, this is surprisingly good.
So we are going to need a lot of this Monster Energy, not necessarily the drink, but the idea to go through these 4 movies. Okay. They are in order of release.
Okay.
The Son of Bigfoot, Smallfoot, Missing Link, and Abominable.
That's correct.
All right. So normally what comes next in this podcast is we talk about our history with each movie.
Yeah, and with these movies, the history is the same. We all saw them. We both saw all of them this last week.
For the first time.
In the last, 4 days. For the first time, we didn't really know anything about them going in.
Yeah. And
Yeah, go ahead. Do you have, Kate, any experience with Yeti or Sasquatch or Wood Ape movies.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I saw Harry and the Hendersons growing up. And I don't know, there's a Yeti in the Rudolph special, and then the Yeti based on that Yeti in Monsters, Inc.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it. Like, I know of the Yeti as a concept.
Yeah. I will, I'm going to give a quick shout out to the video game Urban Yeti, which is a terrible game, I think, for the Game Boy. But there's a very fun speed run of it. So if you want to watch someone very funny play a terrible video game, look up, I think it's Summer Games Done Quick Urban Yeti.
Okay.
That's all.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
All right.
That's my Yeti experience, is that game. So, Kate, we're going to talk about all 4 of these movies.
Yep.
We're not doing plot summaries, but we're just going to do like a quickie thing. Kate, what movie do you want to talk about first?
Guess.
You mean just like 20 questions style? Or?
Ask me about the movie. I'm thinking of a movie.
Okay.
I'm thinking of one of these 4 movies.
One specific movie out of these 4.
Ask me some questions about
All
it.
right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to narrow it down. I'm going to start a little broader.
Sure.
Just to make sure you're not tricking me. Is there a Sasquatch or Yeti in this movie?
Yes.
Okay. So I know
There
it's
is.
one of the 4 we watched. Was it released in the last 4 years?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know it's one of the 4 we watched. Is there like a human sidekick?
There is.
Okay. That's still all of them. All right. I'm going to get trickier. I'm going to get more specific. Are there yaks?
There are yaks.
Okay. That is still all 4 movies. Okay. Can the Yetis like communicate in some way with another species?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Is there a confrontation on a bridge?
Oh, that's very specific, but
Yeah.
yes, there is.
Okay. That's
That's still 3 of the movies.
all right. Do Yetis have blood?
Well, is inconclusive.
Okay.
We don't see a Yeti bleed in this movie.
Okay. But we kind of assume that they have blood.
Like a circulatory system of some kind, right?
All right. What about parkour? Do these Yetis do parkour?
No, but there's a lot of hanging on ropes and icicles.
That should narrow it down more than it does. That should narrow it down more than it does. Okay. Are Yetis literate?
Yes, they can read and write.
Okay. We're getting closer.
Yeah.
I'm down to like potentially 3 movies.
Yeah, right?
Okay. Do Yetis or people get shot with tranquilizer darts?
No.
Aha!
Ha!
I got it. Missing link.
It's the missing
It's
link.
the missing link.
Hey. All right. So Missing Link
Yeah.
comes out in 2019, but earlier than Abominable.
Yep.
Missing Link is a stop motion, so
Yeah.
animated feature from Laika,
Yeah.
who also does Paranorman and other movies we
Kubo.
haven't. Kubo. Okay.
So it's stop motion with CG. I think CG is just the backgrounds and like special effects.
Yeah, there's a really cool little demo in the credits of this movie actually that
Yeah.
like shows how they built the stop motion set and then how they put the characters in it and then how they pasted in the CGI Himalaya mountain shot
Yeah.
far away, and it was really cool.
Yeah, it was my favorite sequence of this movie.
Because honestly, like I went through the movie thinking it was CG.
Yeah, I thought it was CG meant to
Just
look
like
like stop motion.
Yeah, but it was actually stop motion.
Yeah.
So, basics of this movie without a 2-minute summary.
Yeah.
We got a Sasquatch in this one.
Yeah.
So it's North American, played by Zach Galifianakis. The Sasquatch's name, well, the name given to him at first is Mr. Link.
Like
but
Missing
then,
Link.
Yeah, like Missing Link. But the Sasquatch chooses for themselves the name Susan, based on a scientist they met earlier in their life. A person in the woods who wasn't afraid of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is a human, Lionel Frost, who's like an explorer and wishes to find all the mythical creatures. The first time we meet him, he's meeting the Loch Ness Monster, and that's Hugh Jackman.
He wants to prove that a mythical creature exists so he can join an adventurers club.
Right.
He goes to get the Sasquatch, who has written a letter to him.
Yes. The Sasquatch has written a letter because the Sasquatch wants to find his cousins, the Yetis, in the Himalayas, because he doesn't have any family.
So the adventure here is take the Sasquatch from like Tennessee or Oregon.
Yeah, I think it's Oregon, Pacific Northwest.
From the Pacific Northwest to the Himalayas. That's our adventure.
And the antagonizing force is that this adventurers club doesn't want anything to challenge their beliefs. They don't want to believe in evolution or science or anything beyond
seems
their...
like they just really don't like Hugh Jackman's character.
Yeah, but it's also... I feel like there's a little bit of social commentary in this one that, like, the powers of the ruling class resist change even when it is right in front of them.
That's fair.
So there's a little bit of that. So that's the missing link.
All right. Well, Kate...
Dick, should we talk about the next movie?
Yeah, but I am thinking of a movie, and now you have to guess it.
Oh, okay. We're going to do this again.
Yeah, we're doing this. All
right.
Two could play at that game.
All right, Dick.
Whoop, whoop.
So in this movie that you're thinking of, is there a Yeti or a Sasquatch? Yeah. Okay. Is it released in the last 3 or 4 years?
Absolutely.
Is there a human?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about yaks? Are there yaks?
Absolutely, there are yaks.
Good.
You thought you were going to get me with that.
Good. All right. Can the Yeti or Sasquatch communicate with other species? All right. Is there a confrontation on a bridge?
Of course.
Okay. Do Yetis have blood?
We assume so. Yes. Actually,
do we
I could say yes. Yetis definitely have blood.
Oh, actually, that is true in this movie.
Yeah.
Do we see a Yeti bleed?
I don't believe so.
Yeah. Can Yetis parkour?
Oh, can they ever?
Okay. All right. Oh, my goodness. All right. What other questions did you ask? Are Yetis literate?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very much so.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, are there tranquilizer darts in this one? Oh, okay. That's different than the last one.
There are some trank darts, yeah.
All right. Would you say that Yetis have powers in this movie?
Like, aside from just being a Yeti?
Yeah.
Like some sort of superpower?
Like superpowers?
Yeah.
Oh, they do? Okay. Is it the power, like, do they have a power to heal
Oh, yeah.
other beings?
Yeah, like a healing power.
All right. I got this. Is it a blue power to heal?
Yes.
Shoot, that's still 2 movies.
Yeah. How many have you narrowed it down to with all these questions?
I think it's just 2.
It's 2 movies.
All right.
Okay.
Is there a pop song in this movie?
Yes.
Ooh, okay. Does it sound like Coldplay?
Yes.
Is it Coldplay?
Wait, how many movies are you at now?
2.
Still 2. Okay.
Still 2.
Is it Coldplay?
Is it Coldplay?
It is not Coldplay.
It's not Coldplay.
No, it is.
Dick,
It is Puggy.
the Belgian version of Coldplay, Puggy?
Obviously, the
that
Belgian
one?
version.
All right, I got you. You're thinking of the son of Bigfoot.
True. That's true. You got me.
Guys, watching these 4 movies, I had to take notes. There is a Google Doc of notes.
Okay. So, son of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
This kid,
his name is Adam.
his name is Adam. Oh, yeah. You wrote that down for me
sure
so
did.
that I didn't say this
Yeah,
kid.
that's okay.
Cool. So this kid, Adam, notices at school that his feet are bursting out of his shoes and he's growing a bunch of hair.
Yep.
And then he realizes that his dad is Bigfoot and not dead like he thought he was. He goes and finds his dad. His dad is hiding from a hair company.
An evil hair company.
An evil
Excuse
hair
you.
company that wants to use his genes to cure baldness.
Yeah.
Like evil hair companies do. And that's kind of it.
And they
They
defeat the evil hair company together. This movie is weird.
It's not very good.
But it's not bad. We've seen much worse movies in the history of this podcast.
I would argue that it is bad, but not. It's differently bad.
Yeah. And I wonder how much of that is... This movie is from Belgium. It
Right.
is a Belgian movie, first released in Europe and then released in, like, the States and Britain.
Yeah.
I can't super find whether it was originally done in English or
I
a
was
different
just
language.
about to ask if you knew that. Yeah.
I believe there's a different cast in the 2 versions.
Right.
but I'm not 100% sure about that either.
So it seems
There's the least information on the internet about this one.
Yeah, there may be some like cultural issues.
Right.
And this seems like it takes place in America.
Yeah,
is
you'd
it-
think so. I mean, this is a Bigfoot, a SasQuad,
Yeah.
and I don't think Europe has this mythology.
Yeah, but they do. But the cars are European. They have like European plates. So it's a little
Yeah.
unclear.
But the driver's on the left. So it's not like.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is in Belgium.
Yeah, I don't know either. We didn't do that much research.
Yeah, they make good beers
Yeah,
and waffles
yeah.
and chocolate.
Okay,
Thanks, Belgium.
sure. Well, so that's Son of Bigfoot.
Yep.
We got anything else on this one?
Well, we got
This, by the way, is the one that our Twitter stranger Lacking Saint gave to us without
Yeah.
he didn't make a suggestion to us, just put out a tweet into the world that we found.
that we just happened to find.
So
at that
this was the
exact
one
moment.
we didn't know
We
about
did
at
not
all.
know that was a thing. All right, cool. Well, let's move on.
Delightful.
Let's
All
move
right.
on. Number 3.
All right, Dick, I'm thinking of a Bigfoot movie.
Okay, I'm going to go through this a little quicker. There's going to be a Yeti or a Sasquatch.
There is.
This was released in the last couple of years at
Correct.
least. There's going to be a human. Mm-hmm. You got to have those yaks.
Of course.
You can't make a Yeti movie without yaks. No. He speaks in some way. There's like some communication.
Yes.
Okay.
So this creature does. Oh, okay.
Can this creature bleed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We definitely see it.
All right. Parkour.
Yes.
They just parkour in all of these movies.
Yeti's parkour. It's science.
All right. Are Yetis literate?
Well, it's we don't exactly know.
Okay.
In this one,
Okay. That actually still could be either of the last 2 movies.
it could be.
Okay. Trank darts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's an ultra specific one.
Okay.
Do the characters symbolize home by making a triangle out of their hands?
Why, yes, they do. That could still be two
That could
movies.
still be 2 movies. Okay. Oh, I forgot. Confrontation on a Bridge.
Yes.
That must be Abominable.
It sure is.
Because our last movie does not have a confrontation on a bridge.
The only one to not have a confrontation on a
Boom.
bridge.
Got it.
All right, so we got Abominable. This comes out in 2019. It is the most recent of the Yeti movies we are speaking of. It is DreamWorks. So honestly, the biggest studio, at least the biggest American studio to produce a Yeti movie so far.
Yeah.
We got a Yeti, an actual Yeti, a Himalayan Yeti. It is nicknamed Everest by its human, and her name is Yi. This movie is essentially How to Train Your Dragon, but with Yeti.
Yeah.
And a female protagonist. So teenage Yi, who has recently lost her father, but has a mother and grandmother at home, is kind
a lot
of
father stuff.
yeah.
these
Yeah.
Yetis.
Oh, that's interesting. She's kind of in a grief funk. She's running off on her own, making money to travel the world, or travel China,
Right.
which they live in China. It's supposed to be Shanghai, which was her father's dream. That was something that she
They were
and her
supposed
dad
to
were
like
going to do.
travel the world together
Travel
or travel
China.
China together. She's saving up money to do this
Yeah.
on her own.
All of a sudden, there's a Yeti on her roof
Boom, boom.
that has escaped a science factory and science lab. That's the word.
Nope.
Science factory.
Yes.
So she keeps it as a pet, kind of
Yeah.
to keep it safe. But then it's got to get back home to Everest, and so she goes on a journey
To Mount Everest.
to Mount Everest. She goes on a journey because she's like, cool, I'm not doing anything else important. I'll just go to Mount Everest with you. And she and 2 of her friends from her apartment building go on an adventure with this Yeti, and they end up seeing all of China, all the
Yeah.
places that she and her dad were going to visit. And
This is a really long, short summary.
so it's about getting a Yeti to Everest, and it's about getting a girl back to like her back to enjoying life and appreciating what
Yeah.
she has.
Yeah.
That's it.
Nice.
I forgot that we weren't doing a full
I
summary.
know. You were really going
There's
for
so many
that
Yeti
one.
movies. Mm-hmm.
Well, and also Abominable is pretty good.
It is.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I think, yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay, Kate, you know what the fourth one is.
Well, I just want to make sure.
All right, let's confirm.
So let's
make sure we're on the same page.
Let's
Sometimes
confirm
we're not.
this fourth Bigfoot movie.
Yeah.
All right, so there's a Yeti.
No.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there is. Okay.
All right, released in the last couple years. Mm-hmm. There are humans and yaks.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yetis can communicate.
Yes.
Yetis can bleed.
Mm-hmm.
They can parkour.
Yeah. Oh, my God. They parkour so much.
Great. We got some tranquilizer darts.
Oh, my God. So many trank darts.
Triangle hands equals home.
Triangle hands equals home.
Are Yetis literate in this movie?
Yeah. I mean, define literate, but kind of, yeah.
Yeah, they can communicate with some kind of written something.
Yeah.
All right. No confrontation on a bridge.
That's correct.
Okay, so it also would mean that Yetis don't have powers. It also means that there's a pop song, but Coldplay? No Coldplay?
Does it not even a song that sounds like Coldplay?
Oh, okay.
Well, maybe a song that sounds like, but no Coldplay.
So, Dick, we got to be talking about Smallfoot.
Absolutely, we're
Yes.
talking about Smallfoot.
All right, we got all four.
Yeah, and this is a Warner Brothers animation.
Warner Brothers
or Warner
Animation Group. Yeah.
Yeah, WAG, because we thought
WAG.
that was a joke.
We thought that was a
before
Scooby-Doo
the
joke.
Scoob trailer.
Yeah. But it's not. It's real.
Yeah, so this stars a creature who is a Yeti named Migo, and a human named Percy, who is played by late night host Bustopher Jones.
Late night host Bustopher Jones.
Who plays, who does he play in Cats?
He plays James Corden.
He plays James Corden in
the cat
Cats.
James Corden.
Yeah, Bustopher Jones. This is a surprising plot.
This is one of the best movies I've seen in a while.
Yeah, it's the best movie I've seen in 2020.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. But it's
Yes.
what?
No, I'm
What?
just thinking we just watched Frozen and Big Hero 6, but we watched them in 2019.
We watched those in 2019.
There we go.
Yeah, so we've got this Yeti who sees a Smallfoot. It's kind of like there's a lot of Fraggle Rock comparison here.
Ooh.
But it's like the son on the ogre son on Fraggle Rock. Like he is always finding Fraggles, and the family's like, no Fraggles.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so he finds a Smallfoot who is just a human.
Yeah.
But they have these sacred stones that say that humans don't exist, and also that you've got to like bash your head against a gong in order to make the sun rise.
There are a lot of rules.
There's a lot of rules and a lot of mysticism, and it turns out none of it is true.
Oh.
And it's just really.
It's all these things put in place. So there's a little of Hotel Transylvania in this, in that like long ago there was a confrontation between Yetis and humans. The humans were very violent, so the Yetis vowed to always stay above the clouds forevermore. But then there's this whole basically religion, dogmatic religion that comes out of this to, quote unquote, protect the Yetis.
And our human is a like wildlife TV guy whose ratings are down. He realized he hears rumors of a Yeti, so he goes to like fake a Yeti, and then he finds a real one.
Yeah.
And like he's concerned with his ratings more than anything else, and then in the end a lot of different things happen, and the Yetis realize they need to come. They've been like scared of humans this whole time because humans think they're monsters. And they
vice
think
versa.
humans are monsters, and then they realize at the end that they have to coexist.
They have to communicate.
Oh my God. This movie is surprisingly
live in
great.
truth. It's really good. And you see a voice cast like
Oh my God.
Channing Tatum is Migo.
Channing Tatum is
Zendaya
the lead.
is Michi, that meme that like Common is in this, James Corden. And so you look at that on paper, you're like,
Oh, this is gonna suck.
oh, this is Shark Tale.
Yeah.
Like that's honestly what I thought. And it's super not.
Yeah.
Channing Tatum is a great voice actor.
He is amazing in this movie.
He's so good.
If you didn't tell me it was him, I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I also just don't know what Channing Tatum sounds like, but he's great in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, was it worth getting Channing Tatum? I don't know, but he did a great job.
Yeah.
Like, I was instantly turned off when I was like, oh, it's Channing Tatum and a bunch of pop stars, and it's great.
And a bunch of pop songs. We did not know going into this.
This is a musical.
This is a musical.
Yeah.
The music is written by the Something Rotten composers.
That's correct.
And one of them is the director.
One of them is the director. Yeah.
And so it's interesting because it's a musical, but it's not. The songs are more musical theater than they sound.
Yeah.
The lyrics tell more story than the mix.
Yeah.
The vocal mix.
Yeah, the songs are mixed like pop songs, so the vocals are way down.
You cannot hear the vocals or the words.
Except for one Common song.
Yeah.
The amazing Yeti rap.
Yeah.
Just
Mind
like,
blown.
oh, so good. And this was the one based on a short story, is that correct?
This is the one based on
or like a story
like a
treatment?
children's book by Sergio Pablos,
Yeah.
the Despicable Me and Klaus guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's 3 for 3. He's not like involved in producing this one, but it is based on that book. And I looked up the book and no one can find it.
Well, it's not a thing.
Well, Yeti Tracks is the book.
Oh.
But no one can find it. I've already looked at that.
Is that true? I thought
Yeah.
the book did not come out.
Oh, maybe it's an unpublished. That would make more sense.
Yeah, based on the unpublished children's book
Hey.
Yeti Tracks by Sergio
But you'd
Pablos.
think that now it would come out. The movie's
I
2 years
know.
old. I want this Yeti Tracks book. But
Yeah.
anyway, so all right, we got these 4 movies.
We got these 4 movies.
Thanks for everyone for sticking through that.
Yeah.
So
You're welcome.
like one, just on the surface, before we kind of dive into more, why so many Yeti movies?
Right? Like this isn't I mean, so there's been a couple instances of this happening in film. There's Deep Impact Armageddon, which I think might have been like a studio leak.
And Pearl Harbor was like the same kind of thing. Like I
No.
know it's not end of the world,
Pearl
but
Harbor
I feel
was
like
several years later.
never mind. Continue.
But Deep Impact Armageddon were like the same summer, and they're basically the same movie.
Yeah.
There was, I think there was like Day After Tomorrow and something else like it, real close. Ants in Bug's Tale?
Bugs
Bug's Life?
Yeah, A Bug's Life.
Why couldn't I remember that?
I don't know. That's okay.
So what was
got-
the story behind those?
I mean, I just think that's Katzenberg being a jerk.
Yeah, like
I think he found out what was happening, and they're like, "Oh, now we're doing an Ants movie."
well,
at
like
DreamWorks.
he was at Disney.
But he wasn't at Disney Pixar that late, so I don't know. So
But
sometimes,
it seems like maybe Katzenberg was like, "Oh, they're doing a bug movie. We're doing a bug movie."
yeah, ideas fly around. And same with like Nemo and Shark Tale. Shark Tale says that they had no idea there was a fish movie going on, but
Right.
like they absolutely did.
and sometimes that happens where it's like you said with Nemo and Shark Tale. Nemo was a giant hit. We need a fish movie,
Right.
or like
And
you know,
fish make sense, especially with like emerging technology at that time.
Yeah.
You could finally kind of do convincing water.
Sure.
There's a reason for that. Kids love fish.
Yeah.
And same with like the Dinosaur
Yeah.
movies we did, although it's a much longer time span that they come out during. Like kids always love dinosaurs.
Sure.
Slam dunk. You make a dinosaur movie, kids will go see it. But Yetis, like, are kids clamoring for Yetis?
Do kids love Bigfoots?
Yeah.
I
do they-
loved the monster truck Bigfoot when I was a kid.
Yeah, like, it's not something that you're going to see in, like, a science museum or learn about in school. It's just this very specific, like, conspiracy
Do you
theory.
think that's what kids love, is stuff they see in science museums and learn in school?
I don't know. We had a dinosaur unit in school.
Yeah.
Right? And then you, like, go to a museum and you see big skeletons and you're like, cool, I love dinosaurs
That's fair,
now.
but kids love superheroes, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
not a thing you
That's
learn in
fair.
school, but it's a thing it's
Yeah.
a known thing that
It's
kids
a
love.
known thing that kids love.
So the only theory that makes sense is the first movie was such a hit that everyone had to rush to get a Yeti movie out. What was the first movie released?
The first movie is Son of Bigfoot.
How did that do?
Not bad.
Okay.
budget of 20 million, box office of 40 million, and it was like a secondary release in the States, and no one has ever heard of it.
But
so
that's not
pretty good.
That's not like a Nemo or like a
No.
Lion King where it grosses like $1 billion and everyone's got to jump on the
Well,
bandwagon.
and even so, all of these movies took several years to make.
Yeah.
So a box office alone is not going to, like, all of these movies were already in development when Son of Bigfoot comes out.
I believe that's
even
the case.
in Europe.
Yeah.
So I've seen a couple things online, like in general, like climate and environment are things.
But none of these really tell a climate story.
No, that we're just out of creatures, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have an explanation? Do you have a pet explanation? Dick?
I mean, that was my theory. Like, did any of these do well?
So both Smallfoot and Abominable do pretty well at the box office.
Okay, and those are both the most recent ones?
No.
Missing Link is...
Missing... So, okay. The chronology is Son of Bigfoot,
Yeah.
Smallfoot, Missing Link, Abominable.
Okay, Smallfoot did pretty good.
Smallfoot does... Smallfoot and Abominable both do around 200 million.
Okay.
That's very respectable.
Yeah.
Smallfoot does a little bit better.
Okay. How's Missing Link do?
Missing Link has a budget of 100 million.
Oh man, so you got to make 2 or 3 to make that back.
It's it makes 20 million worldwide.
Oh my God.
Or like 24 million.
That's so
it's
bad.
a giant financial bomb.
Oh.
Just abysmal.
Yeah.
The critics rate it pretty well. I would say for me it's my maybe the third best movie of the 4 we watched, but
Yeah.
like it's way down.
So
Like there's a big gap between number 2 and number 3 here.
yeah, and let's give me your rating. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Favorite of these? Worst, go for it.
It's the reverse order that we introduced them.
All
Son
right.
of Bigfoot number 4, Missing Link number 3. But I think there's an argument for a swap there. Abominable number 2, and by a lot, and then Smallfoot number 1 by a lot also.
Yeah, the gap between number 2 and number 3
Yeah.
is astronomical.
Yeah.
Like, and that's. Wait, what'd you say was at the bottom? Son of Bigfoot.
Son of Bigfoot.
That's my order.
Except for I was more entertained by
Yeah.
Son of Bigfoot. Missing Link wants to be very funny.
It
It's
just
got a
doesn't-
Zach Galifianakis in it, but you forget it's like they knew like Zach Galifianakis makes people laugh, but they like forgot that it's his like face and
Yeah.
voice combination, and he like it's a lot of the stereotypical office humor that makes Zach Galifianakis funny. It's the long pauses.
Yeah.
But if you just kind of have a not super expressionful Sasquatch made of clay, it doesn't have the same. I
No.
laughed like twice in Missing Link.
I laughed very hard twice in Missing Link.
Yeah,
Because they did some really good physical comedy.
that was their strong
The
point.
one
yeah.
where there's one scene, we'll get to it, but there's one scene where they're like breaking into a house, and it's the scene that the whole movie should be.
Yeah.
Like, it's the right tone, but let's just talk about this. The Missing Link has no reason to be animated.
Yeah.
The first 10
Oh my gosh,
minutes.
can you imagine Zach Galifianakis dressed up as a
Oh my God,
Sasquatch?
that'd be hilarious.
I'm already laughing.
Yeah. You're not.
Well, in my head, I'm
Okay.
laughing.
But like like the first 10 or 15 minutes are just talking.
Yeah.
Like there's a quick Loch Ness Monster scene that
Mm-hmm.
does nothing for anyone.
Nope.
And then there's a bunch of like arguing and talking and arguing and talking, and there's no reason for that to be animated. It's so dull.
Yeah, dull. I think dull is the best word I would use to describe this. Even
Yeah.
when there's an action scene, like at the end, there's this action scene. So
It's endless. It's endless.
it's like a 3 bosses in a row. If you're comparing it to a video game, there's like the Yetis that they finally meet are
Yeah.
actually like very like elitist and hostile in that way. So they
Yeah.
have to defeat them, and then they have to defeat the head of the Adventurers Club who doesn't believe in evolution, and then they have to defeat the bounty hunter
Yeah.
who the Adventurers Club guy sicked on them. And then there's just this endless.
So yeah, I wasn't even talking about that. Because I was specifically talking about at the very end.
When there's a confrontation on a bridge.
Yes. The bridge falls and they are hanging off the bridge.
By like ropes.
They're like
ropes?
hanging off by ropes or something. And then the rope fails and then they're hanging off by like fingers.
But even before that, Dick, like the rope swings like 3 different ways. So the person on the bottom of the rope swings up to the top.
Hold on. They're holding on by
gosh.
fingers and they're attached by a rope.
Yeah, there we go.
They're like a climbing rope.
Yeah.
So like the main adventurer guy is holding on and then he slips and then the Yeti grabs a ledge. But then...
And then they slip and grab a lower ledge.
They grab another ledge and then they grab an icicle and it's just endless.
I think it is supposed to be...
It's supposed to be funny?
Funny that it's like so like the tedium of each mishap.
But it's just... Like the whole movie's tedium, so...
Yeah. So at least Son of Bigfoot, even though it had, I feel like, less of a reason for being, at least like... I don't know. It kind of had some dumb jokes that I laughed at in spite of myself.
Missing Link has a plot that makes sense, has a story that makes sense generally from beginning to end, and that is the best. And it looks really nice.
Yeah.
And that's the good things I can say about Missing Link.
Yeah.
Son of Bigfoot has a plot that makes no sense.
You have to, you have to suspend your disbelief for the central conflict.
If you try and think about this movie, it is
why
dumb.
Is a scientist who is Bigfoot trying to escape a hair company that wants to originally employ him as a scientist and then like use his DNA to help
to
people.
Cure baldness. Like they're not like and like he could work for a different hair company, he could start his own company, or he could like get a restraining order against this.
Right. You're supposed to believe the word lab rat is used a lot, so you're supposed to kind of be like, all right, this is a company with like an evil boss that like abuses their scientific subjects. That's kind of the threat or the danger.
If our dad / Bigfoot here wasn't also a scientist, it might work a little better. Right. But he's also a scientist.
He's also a scientist. He could just take over the company.
So anyway, the whole thing just...
It falls apart once you start thinking about it.
But the like individual scenes are pretty fun.
So, all right. So we still don't have an answer of why there were so many Yeti movies.
Oh, no.
We'll put a pin in that.
We'll put a pin in that.
So in terms of... All right. So in the dinosaur movies, we see some references to like the extinction. We see how dinosaurs worked. We got some science in there. Yeah. So I'm interested to talk a little bit about
the science of abominable snowmen.
Yeah, the Yeti science in each of these movies. What
Yeti science was there?
What Yeti science is in these movies? Like do they incorporate the mythology? In any way. Okay. Let's look at it.
So, I mean, let's take it movie by movie. Smallfoot, not really.
Not really. Because like the Yeti or the Sasquatch has all these powers. So healing powers.
Smallfoot.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Oh
it's
boy.
So hard to remember the difference. So Smallfoot, they are Yetis. They live in a mountain. That's about all the like.
So I'm gonna challenge you on that because I did a little bit of Yeti science research.
You did a little research.
So one, in terms of like the historical background, yes, Himalayas. Himalayas are used in 3 of the 4 movies.
That's true.
Not Son of Bigfoot.
That's true.
We've got in this movie, we've got them working with rocks. Like their whole society is built on like rock cogs moving other rock things. Yeah. And that is part of Yeti mythology.
Wait,
that
really?
That like rocks are their thing. They're like super tool. of use.
Cool.
Mostly probably because mountains are made of rock, and what else are they going to use?
Yeah.
I guess they could swing a yak around.
Yeah.
There are a lot of yaks,
There's
too.
a lot of yaks.
So all the rock stuff in this movie is based on that, or seems to be drawn from that. But that's kind of it. I couldn't find...
You couldn't find anything about a Yeti secret society that generates clouds to populate the belief in a fake religion?
I couldn't find anything about that.
You didn't find anything
no.
about that? Okay.
It is interesting that a lot of these movies have Yetis communicating with animals or nature in some way. I couldn't find a resource on that. On like, oh, Yetis can talk to bears or things like that.
Right.
But so moving on, so that's all for Smallfoot.
That's all for Smallfoot.
Moving on, in both Abominable and Son of Bigfoot, the Yeti has magical healing powers.
Yeah, and Son of Bigfoot, he has super speed and super hearing.
Yeah. Those have nothing to do with anything.
Okay, but the healing power.
The healing powers are attributed to Yeti in some versions of the mythology.
Interesting.
Like some supernatural...
But just Yeti specifically, not...
I mean, it's hard to
Bigfoots.
tell. Bigfoot...
I have never heard of Bigfoot having healing
I would
power.
just... from an armchair Wikipedia reader,
Yeah.
I would call Yeti more of like a myth or folklore, and Bigfoot is more the conspiracy theory.
I mean, it's American folklore.
Yeah, but like Yetis have... I think Yetis have powers, like you said. Bigfoot is less of a... There's not really powers attached to them. It's just, I saw it.
That's fair.
So it's hard to know whether Bigfoot... It seems like Son of Bigfoot is drawing on its cousin,
Drawing
the
on
Yeti,
some Yeti, yeah.
Assuming that they have some similar DNA.
Like superpowers.
Yeah.
So that's Abominable and Son of Bigfoot.
Yeah, and then what's left now? Missing Link. He doesn't really have any powers.
Which is accurate for...
Which is accurate for Sasquatch.
For Sasquatch.
Yeah.
He lives... I mean...
Sasquatch.
Sasquatch. But they do go to the Himalayas to see Yetis. So in that movie, it's interesting. That's the one we watched last. Mm-hmm. And that kind of answered some of the question of what's the difference between Yetis and Sasquatch. We go see the Yetis. They don't seem to have powers, but they do seem a little mystical, and they are jerks.
Yeah, they do kind of seem like they are related to the character played by Common in Smallfoot. This kind of like... We've built this whole civilization to be completely independent and completely isolationist. And they're like highly evolved
built that
as
city
Yetis. Yeah.
On rock and roll?
On rocks, certainly.
And ice, I guess.
Yeah, they have to roll the rock. On rocks that roll.
We built this city on rocks that roll.
And so... there's that. I would say also just in terms of like pop culture incorporation, there's definitely in the two Sasquatch movies, there are shots that kind of allude to this like whenever you've seen a grainy Bigfoot picture, there are shots that mimic that where you see like the Bigfoot walking with giant big steps through a bunch of trees.
Yeah, you see kind of that famous Bigfoot like walk through the forest, turn ahead, walk away.
Yeah. And Son of Bigfoot specifically mentions like National Enquirer, those pulpy fake news.
I was surprised that it used National Enquirer.
I wonder if...
Or it just said Enquirer.
No, they said National Enquirer. So I wonder... And there were also... Tangentially related to that, there were some weird like billboard jokes in that one too.
Yeah.
And I can't remember any of them specifically.
No, because they were so weird.
But they were like specifically American jokes.
But some of them
like
weren't...
in the factory, in the hair company, they do this like the CEO does a tour for potential investors.
Yeah.
And he flashes a bunch of posters of famous celebrities who use toupees, and like the first one is supposed to be Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Like, it was very jarring to see a cartoon, like, caricature of Donald Trump in a movie. I'm like, this is clearly not American made.
That was Donald Trump.
You could not get away with this.
I don't... Here's the thing. I don't know who many of those
Like,
were
it could have
supposed to
been
be.
Boris Johnson, too, or something. Or just kind of like a...
No,
There's a guy in every
that
society that looks like this.
That makes sense as Trump.
Yeah.
And I think there was like a Stallone. It was really... They were not great caricatures, or they were not American celebrities.
These weird, cheesy jokes, it was unclear whether they were American in the original one or whether we had some, like, photoshopping in for the States edition that, like, oh, we could put Trump here, or oh, we could make this the National Enquirer instead of whatever it was in the Belgian.
So weird. There was a billboard ad that was not a joke. It was just like they replaced one letter of something.
Yeah.
And I don't... Oh, it was a Better Call Saul.
Oh, yeah, it was Better Call Paul, which is just a weird...
What's the joke? Who's Paul?
And, like, this movie doesn't have anything to do with drug lords or like...
It doesn't take place in, what, New Mexico or wherever?
Yeah.
It made no sense.
Yeah.
It was bizarre.
So, all right. Dick, here's the $1 million question.
Yeah.
Why use a Yeti to tell each of these stories? These are 4 movies with very different story genres.
Yeah.
So how do you want to go through this? And
yeah, so I'm going to call, like, let's start with Son of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a superhero origin story.
Yeah.
A little bit Teen Wolf, a little bit like Spider-Man-y.
Yeah, a little Spider-Man-y.
There's some of that in there. And it's like a little bit of like father and son movie.
Yeah.
Why is he a Bigfoot? I don't know. Did it like help? Was there a reason?
So I think Bigfoot works at, like, if you're like, okay, I don't want to come up with a new superhero. I don't have rights to any of the comic houses. Like,
oh, we're talking public domain.
Yeah, it's a public domain superhero movie.
This is the equivalent of playing Yankee Doodle on the radio. It's public domain. You can cover it. No one's gonna sue you.
Yeah.
Wait, is Yankee Doodle a song?
I think you just made that up.
What am I thinking?
Yankee Doodle?
That's what I meant.
The song Yankee Doodle.
Yeah.
All right. Well. Okay. Yeah. So that being the case, I think it kind of works. And I think your, like, evil villain kind of works too, like an X-Men type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Although I don't, what would be an evil genius who wants to exploit the powers? That's not really X-Men.
Magneto kind of does
Magneto wants to exploit it.
Well, not really. Professor Xavier's bald.
Hey,
so...
there's so I think they could have dug into it more. I think it works, but I don't think they make the case as well as they very easily could.
Very easily.
I think you were the one that said, like, we meet our teenage protagonist.
Yeah, we meet
and,
him,
like,
and
the first thing that happens is his feet get big. Like,
immediately.
You said
we should have seen a normal day in his life,
right?
And then the next day, weird stuff happens.
Into the Spider-Verse, great example of this.
Yeah, you set an expectation, and then you subvert it.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, oh, this kid's feet grow, because we don't know if this happens every day.
Right.
It might. He seems surprised by it, but it might happen every day.
And for those 2 powers to come at once, his feet grow and his hair grows after he gets a haircut in, like, the same 24-hour period.
Yeah.
It'd be better to space that out a little bit. Okay, like, I have this foot growing thing. That's weird. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, like, a week later, oh, now my hair is growing.
Also, like, the hair is the less weird one. So, like, start with that. Mm-hmm. Let us sit on it for a little bit.
Yeah.
Have this kid, like, cut his hair again. And, like...
But, yeah, I think you could add more of the... I feel like the missing dad only comes in after he starts getting these powers.
Yeah.
And so, if, like, what you're saying, like, if we see a normal day or a normal week... And the problem he's dealing with is, like, as I'm getting older, I'm missing my dad more. Or, like, all these kids at school have dads, right? Like, you can have some kind of, like, bring your dad to work day. And
okay, I gotta address this.
Yeah.
His dad is a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
What? What does that mean?
his dad is a Bigfoot, Dick. What else do you...
His dad was a normal...
What do you want from me?
His dad was a normal guy when he got married.
No, I don't think that's true. He was shaving all of his body parts.
He was shaving all of his body parts.
So I think Mom knew. I think Mom knew she was marrying a Bigfoot.
But, like...
Because he said all of this stuff happened to him when he was the same age as the son is.
He's a Bigfoot in that I guess he has superpowers.
Yes.
And some extra hair.
Yes. Okay, I didn't say it was the perfect public
Did
domain
he get
superhero
bit
movie.
by a radioactive Bigfoot at some point?
No, I think
you know what?
He's got Bigfoot DNA because the kid seems like half Bigfoot, right? He
just-
has all the good powers without having like the back hair and the...
It just would have been nice if at some point in this movie, like someone had called him a Bigfoot and he's like, well, look, I have powers and my hair grows. That doesn't mean I'm a Bigfoot. I'm just a guy.
That would be nice too. Yeah.
But throughout the whole thing, his dad's like, well, I'm Bigfoot. I was like, well, you're not Bigfoot. You're not the Bigfoot because the Bigfoot is like a thing that was made up like 100 years ago.
Yeah. The tone is there's no connection to anything.
I'm too upset about this movie right now.
Okay. But at least so is a Yeti intrinsic to this story? Do we need a Yeti to tell the story of kind of a superhero / coming of age / dad and kid?
Not really, but I get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on. Why use a Yeti to tell the story of the missing link?
I think this one works.
I keep on saying Missing Link is the name of the movie.
Missing Link, I think works, and it's not a Yeti; it's a SasQuad.
Sorry.
There are Yeti.
There are Yeti.
I think it works because we've got an explorer who's trying to find something that nobody else believes exists to prove that he's an amazing explorer. That's kind of like I kind of get that. That's cool, and a thing that no one else believes exists is a Sasquatch. The whole thing is completely undercut by the fact that he sees the Loch Ness Monster at the beginning, and so he could just continue searching for the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah.
But I think I think that works, and I think the idea of our Sasquatch friend trying to find his family and trying to find where he belongs makes sense. I like this movie the least, but I think it makes the most sense to have a Yeti.
It's got strong bones.
Yeah.
The bones aren't particularly engaging.
No, someone has picked the meat off of all of the bones.
Right. Yeah. And I think there is, you called this like basically a buddy comedy.
Yeah.
Among, there are other things happening.
It's like a road comedy.
Certainly the second act is all road. Yeah. It's on the road comedy. And I think that could have been exploited more. You got a human and you've got a Sasquatch.
There are
as a buddy comedy,
many opportunities to exploit the humor in that combination, and they never do.
What they do, they go for an angle where like the Sasquatch is kind of the innocent, naive, doesn't understand all the idioms the human is using.
He's a little too literal.
He's too literal. And like that joke works like once, but it's not.
But like most of the time it doesn't, because he'll be like, you could say that again. And the Sasquatch will be like, oh, I guess I could. But that doesn't make sense because the Sasquatch speaks perfect English. Yeah. And he reads
He's read a lot
extensively.
Of books. You'd think he'd be up on idiomatic language.
Yeah.
And he does like use sarcasm sometimes. And,
yeah.
Like it's inconsistent what the Sasquatch can and can't understand. But even like the fact that one of them is covered in hair and one of them is not, like, never really mentioned comedically or otherwise.
The Sasquatch,
like,
Susan wears, when the Sasquatch is wearing clothes, pants that are too small for it, a jacket that is too small for it, and a hat.
Yeah.
It looks ridiculous. There is so much humor to be mined from that, but instead of doing anything, they do nothing.
They do nothing with it. Yeah, there could be a running gag, like, this is my cousin from such and such.
Oh, yeah,
oh, yes, people are hairy there.
It's
like
the style
something,
there. Something.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, is a you mentioned this.
I'd say
the Yeti
yes.
is
The Yeti is.
Sasquatch is, and it has to like the word evolution is used in a couple. Like that's kind of the key word of
Yeah.
this one.
If they had tied it in more, that would have been nice.
Yeah.
But he's the Sasquatch is the missing link between ape and man.
And it's like evolution of your thinking and of what you're willing to take a chance on and have your brain, have your
Yeah.
opinion changed.
And our adventurer evolves by the end into being less self-centered and more.
Yes. He even says that. The Hugh
empathetic.
Jackman character says,
Yeah.
well, I've evolved.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So Abominable
Mm.
has a Yeti. We've already established that.
Yeah.
Why use a Yeti to tell this story?
Yo, I don't know. Well,
I mean, this is
here's
it's How to Train Your Dragon.
yeah.
Yeah, and just instead of a dragon, it's a Yeti.
I mean, a nice benefit of using a Yeti is this movie takes place in China. Mm-hmm. The Himalayas are in China,
Nepal,
Nepal,
but it borders, yeah.
close to China. So you've got that going for it, right? So we can tell a story set in a country that's not America, which I'm always down for. We can tell a story starring some people who we don't normally get to see.
Yes.
And like set somewhere that we don't normally get to see. It felt to me as we were watching this, like it reminded me of Miyazaki films in ways where I'm like this
Oh, yeah.
this Yeti has like these powers and it's kind of a coming of age story. And like I was just wondering, I'm like, okay, this is a Yeti. Does the person who wrote this wish that it was like a traditional Chinese legend instead of a Yeti? Right? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
And that might just be in my head. That might just be my assumption,
Yeah.
but that's kind of the feeling I got. Like
Yeah.
I was kind of like, it reminded me of like Totoro or like, Spirited Away has like all those different spirits.
Yeah.
And so, the nice thing about the Yeti is it lets us set the movie in another country that Americans are not familiar with necessarily, and still gets to use iconography that is recognizable to Americans. So I would say that in that sense, the Yeti serves the story.
I mean, and really, like, does the Lion King need lions, right? It's also Hamlet.
Right.
Hamlet doesn't have lions, but it's using, like, the lions and, like, the hierarchy of nature, which can get dicey when you start looking at it too closely in terms of a story that humans can identify with. But I think this is a similar thing. Do I need a Yeti here? No. Does it work? Yeah. It's this kind of creature we don't understand. A lot of people are going to be after it, so they need to constantly be on the run. It has healing powers, so that factors into Yi, the protagonist, her story of how she needs to, she's still grieving her father's death and still figuring out how to heal relationships with her families. So it ties in thematically there. So like, does it need a Yeti? No, but why not a Yeti is kind of where I come out.
Yeah.
And I think it is effective. It is effective.
Yeah.
Neutrally effective.
So the final Smallfoot.
Yeah.
What do you think? I'm kind of torn.
So Smallfoot, okay. They use Yetis to tell this story because these Yetis are an archetype of a monster, right? They are separated from humans in their mythology. They're in kind of an unreachable place. That's where they live.
Yeah.
And so that's the basis. I think this one, to me, is the most comparable to, like, this is a great story, and using Yetis in this society is like using lions in Lion King.
Yeah.
Where, like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. You get to establish this world. Just like they use a lot of drawings in this movie, right? The Yetis have all these drawings of places, and to be able to take this Their civilization exists as a picture of a mountain on a cloud, and that's it. There's nothing down below except for these woolly mammoths that hold up the mountain.
Yeah.
And so to discover the way this kind of conspiracy theory group of protagonists does, to discover that the mountain they literally extend the lines of the mountain beyond the clouds.
Yeah.
I think that's a really beautiful piece of imagery to really bring home the point of there is more truth out there than you can see, especially if you've been given one picture of something. There's always lines that you can't see.
I mean, it's almost like the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly.
Right? Like, it's that's similar concept. Yeah. Nice.
And yeah, to have this kind of flip of the Yetis are just as scared as the humans, that's a new feature. That's fun.
I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, again, is it intrinsic? Probably not. But I think this, to me, is the most interesting use of, like, oh, that's really creative to use Yetis to tell this story about how the ruling class uses disinformation. And there's a great line that Common says that, like, all right, you know that knowledge is power. So now that you have this knowledge and now that you have this power, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah, and that's a bit where our hero is faced with a choice to say, like, hey, all of the sacred texts are lies.
Because I found a Smallfoot. I was banished from the village, but I'm right. This is the truth.
Or he can say he's wrong, but by saying he's right, then people will leave the village and
possibly get murdered by humans.
Because the Yetis think humans are monsters. So he protects everyone by lying to them and maintaining the status quo. Ooh.
I mean, this movie, we were reading up on it, and it is, the creators specifically had Brexit in mind, right? In creating this, this story of how fear works in a political and societal way of blocking others out.
This is a great 2019 movie or great 2020 movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's a great movie in general, but
you've got a little, if you, like, pick at it too hard, like, we know that humans are really destructive to nature. So there's a little element of, like, yeah, the humans will try to kill the Bigfoot.
Well,
so there's like,
I think it's a can be, not are.
Yeah.
Because we see that one human, Percy, is not.
But it's an interesting scene, the one you're talking about, because Migo, our protagonist, flashes back to scenes where the human behaves one way, but it could be perceived a slightly different way to make him villainous.
He's scared and defensive, but it could seem like he's angry and on the attack.
And on the offense,
especially because they don't speak the same language.
Oh my gosh. This is the only movie where the Yeti and the human can both speak, but they can't speak to each other.
Yeah.
I love it so much. It's like it's brave, right? That when mom turns into a bear, she can only growl.
She can only growl,
speak.
Yeah.
And so when the human and Yeti are trying to communicate in this movie, they literally can't understand each other. They have to go by drawings and nonverbal cues. The Yeti, whenever it speaks, so you as the audience can hear both of them speak depending on the perspective. But if you're looking at it from a human perspective, the Yeti just speaks and growls. And the human does an adorable gibberish chipmunk voice.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Oh, it's so good.
But it also, it sounds like English.
Yes.
It sounds like I can't understand English.
Right.
It's great.
I can almost.
Yeah.
And I think it plays directly into these themes and the messages of you have to communicate even when it's not easy on the surface.
Yeah.
You have to find a way to communicate. Ooh, this movie is very good.
Kate,
yeah.
Is it time?
It might be. Dick, I think it's time.
I think it's time.
For the final cut.
Final cuts. Here we go.
Although, in my mind, I can't imagine a world where I'm not thinking about Yeti movies all the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like the end of this episode signifies I don't have to think about Yeti movies all the time.
Well, okay,
I'm,
we
I'm
did.
a little
I mean,
afraid of going beyond this smoke
there's-
cloud of the
there's
mountain.
more Yeti movies. We'll figure it out. We're going to be a Yeti cartoon podcast.
There actually is one more Yeti movie.
There's one we did not watch.
So the title of this episode is SasQuad, because it sounds like Dinosaur, and we thought it was funny.
We almost had it SasQuint.
It almost was Sasquint because, listeners, we found a fifth Bigfoot movie. It is, depending on where you look, titled Bigfoot or The Yeti Who Stole Christmas. Dick, you discovered this movie, so would you like to gift us all with a little overview?
So, it is a barely computer animated movie. And I don't mean that it's like a live action movie with some computer animation. It is full CG. It is barely animated. It looks like someone got a hold of like some assets from like some like online catalog. Didn't really know how to animate them and just like moved the arms up and down and then did like it sounds like if you've ever listened to like the Disney storyboards where the animators are doing all the voices.
Yeah.
It sounds like that.
Yeah.
Is where the audio
Their mouths like barely move
the
when
audio
they're
is
talking.
terrible. The performances are very bad.
So
And it's I don't know what it's about.
we found this, and it looked, because we were like 3/4 through watching these movies, and all of them were like fairly good. Like we were expecting a bomb. We were expecting like a good dinosaur or dinosaur in there.
We kind of thought there might be like one
Like,
decent
there
movie,
has to
and
be
these
a
would all be
bad
terrible.
Abominable Snowman movie. There wasn't,
Missing Link and Son of Bigfoot are not good,
but they're
but
not
they're
like
nowhere close to the worst movies we've ever seen.
So when you discovered this one and we watched like the 2-minute trailer, we're like, oh, we might need to include this. But then we just didn't have the strength.
Well, it also turns out this is like the 50th movie by some dude who makes these movies.
This is like it's not exactly this company, but this is like the Chopkick Panda company.
Right.
Where he just takes a bunch of movies that have already been made. What were some
Transmorphers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there was
stuff like that.
There was like a knockoff of The Reef, wasn't there? Like not of
Yeah.
Shark Tale, but a knockoff of Shark Tale's knockoff.
Yeah, this
Fish Tales, I think it was called.
Fish Tales, I think that's right. Yeah, there's like a lot of movies that are like finding a fish is lost or something like that. It's just really
They're like a level below, like when you do a Snapchat filter that covers your face.
Yeah.
And that kind of animation,
It's
like
worse
that
than
is
that.
better than what this looked like.
And I love watching bad movies,
Yeah.
but it's not as fun when they're bad on purpose.
And when we already have to talk about 4 movies
Yeah.
on a podcast. All right, so I'm glad we got to talk about that.
Yeah.
Look it up if you'd like some extended homework with this. So back to the final cut, Dick.
Yeah.
Let's go for scene shout out.
Now I want to propose something.
Okay.
We didn't discuss this before. I would like us to shout out a positive and a negative from each movie.
From each movie? Okay.
Because I have some stuff that I have not talked about, and I want to hit on it real quickly.
Great. Okay.
So,
Sorry, movies.
sorry, movies.
This segment is meant to
It's meant to elevate,
highlight the
but
positive.
there's so much
but
to talk about.
Yeah, there is a lot to talk about with 4 movies. All right. So just one positive and negative per movie? Is that what we've decided?
That's our goal.
So it
here.
doesn't turn into 16 different scenes that we talk about for the next 4 hours?
Right.
Cool. All right. Son of Bigfoot. You got a positive?
I'll do a positive on this one.
Okay. I wrote one down too.
Oh wait, no, I have a good negative. Do you
Okay.
want to do a positive?
I'll do the positive on
All
this
right.
one. So there wasn't a lot of like, I will say there was not really a good scene in this movie. There were a lot of scenes.
This is a hell of a positive.
And there were a lot of ideas. But in terms of like an entire scene,
Yeah.
I thought the one that had the most like emotional content in it, because I think that's what this movie was missing.
Yeah.
And it would have been it's a dad and son, and there's no emotional content in this movie.
Yeah.
There's a scene where the dad has been captured by Hairco and is resisting, and then the evil guy says, all right, you can resist, but we know your family now. We can go after them. And so the dad gives in. So we find him hooked up to all these like IVs and tubes. This is how we know he has blood, even though he doesn't bleed.
That's true.
And the son walks in and he's like, Dad, no, you can't do this. And the dad is like almost lifeless. He's saying, no, this is for the best. And that scene I found to be slightly moving.
That is such a, like, that's, yeah, it's fair.
That's the scene where I would start with in making this movie better.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, let's build off of this scene.
Yeah.
Because it has something to it. And so to send your son back out into this factory, like, nope, save yourself. But the son overrides him and unplugs him from all the things, and then they escape. So that's my scene shout out. Dick, what's your scene call out? What do we want to shout down?
At the beginning of the movie, there are a group of Japanese investors going on a tour of Hairco, and they are all taking pictures of everything. And then the guy's like, hey, I will need your cameras. And then they all have 100 cameras. And I can't not see that in anything but racist ass stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks, son of Bigfoot. Thanks for the racism.
I'm not going to defend that.
Thanks for the casual racism, son of Bigfoot.
Casual racism is the right word for it. All right. Well, sorry. So maybe we should start with the negative and end with the positive on the next one.
Let's do it.
Because now I feel bad for son of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's okay. It doesn't really deserve it.
Yeah.
Missing link.
Do you have a positive?
I
have a negative and a positive. My negative is a super short one.
You know what? No, you've got good positives that are the same as my positives. Okay. So I'm going to say, speaking of, let's undermine some positive social commentary. SasQuad chooses their own name, which is Susan. Mm-hmm. There's like a little joke about it, but then like everyone calls him Susan, and I'm like, oh, this is nice. Like,
is this your positive?
No.
Okay.
This is my negative because that is nice that they just call him Susan and no one else comments on it.
Yeah.
But near the end, there's I think this is an editing snafu, an editing error, where at the end of the movie, our Lionel character says, well, we finally, like, you're part of my family now, Mr. Link. And essentially it feels like he's dead naming Sasquatch.
That's fair.
And I think it's an editing error. I think they added Susan later, and then they just forgot to fix that one. Because they switch over from Mr. Link to Susan.
And the woman who's part of this movie, like nudges him, and I thought he was going to say like, oh, I'm sorry, I mean Susan.
Yeah.
He said like, oh, sorry, I don't mean assistant, I mean partner.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
And so there's a lot of other bad in this movie, but I think we've touched on it with just it being dull. But that was a moment where I'm like, ooh, someone should have fixed that.
Can I drop in like another little bad?
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit in this movie.
Like literal shit.
Like literal feces.
Uh-huh.
There's just especially at the beginning, there's like a carriage going through the town.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going through puddles and just covering everyone in feces.
Mm-hmm.
It's disgusting.
Because it's olden times and they didn't have sewers.
And that is the extent of the jokes.
Yeah.
Let me shout out a good scene, though.
All right.
Okay, so I alluded to this earlier. They are breaking into this woman's house to get a map. I'm sorry, what is the explorer's name again?
Lionel Frost.
So Lionel gives Susan a grappling hook, and he says, throw it over the wall. Susan grabs the hook and the rope and everything and throws it over the wall. Funny.
Like without, like just chucks it over the wall. Does not hold on to it. Yeah.
Doesn't hold on to it. Doesn't use it properly. Just throws the entire thing over the wall.
Yeah.
Angus.
Lionel Frost.
Lionel.
You can call him Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman says, ugh, idiot, why don't you just throw everything over? And Susan says, okay, and throws everything over. Good gag.
That wasn't, you didn't mean that.
Yeah, you didn't mean that. And then they go, Is Susan trying to jump or climb?
Yeah, like do a running start to climb.
Yeah. So then they're like, okay, you know what? I can climb this. Susan backs up, does a running start, and then instead of climbing it, just bursts through the wall.
Like it like trips, like he doesn't mean
like
to do it.
Trips and just goes straight through the wall. It is funny. It is well animated. It's well timed.
Mm-hmm.
It is the fun, and like the next scene
has more of that.
There's a bit where like Susan is supposed to lift a safe and take it out of a room.
Yeah.
And instead of doing that, like the safe is too heavy, so Susan just like drags it across the floor. It's great, and it's like this 5 minutes where the movie is everything that I want it to be.
And then it never happens
and
again.
It never happens again.
Yeah.
But that bit is great.
I had the same one down. Yeah. All right. Abominable. Yeah. Abominable. I can't say that word.
Abominable.
I just can't say that word. I have a positive for this one.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have if I have a glow, do you have a grow? This is what we say in education.
So
continue.
Abominable. This creature does magic. Everest, the creature Everest, does magic, and it does the magic by doing this like hum, like a. It's like a deep hum, like a little melody, and it's really cool. And then magic happens.
It's like Rapunzel.
Yeah. And then the female Yi, who's like our lead character, she gets like the she has a violin, and through different circumstances she ends up with Yeti hair on it, like Abominable's hair instead of strings. And when she plays that, it does magic.
And it's like the climax of the movie, the emotional climax of the movie.
And she plays the violin very well, and she plays these beautiful songs. So, of course, for like one of the climaxes of the movie, instead of having the humming and the violin together to make something beautiful, it's a Coldplay song.
Lights will
it's specifically the song Fix
You home.
Which doesn't really work. It's just
Guide You Home, I can see. But
it's fine.
But it's just like, but the Yeti and the violin are both harmonizing with this Coldplay song, and you're like, this has nothing to do.
Like Coldplay
this,
wasn't
like, British
involved.
white band.
Like let's do anything but this. Like I would rather have Puggy from Son of Bigfoot than this,
or like something like a Chinese Coldplay, even. Yeah. Like that would be nice.
That'd be fine.
So. Yeah. Dick,
so,
I'm glad you mentioned this.
Yeah, do you have a shout out?
My scene shout out is the inverse of this moment. It is the first time that you hear this humming, that you're introduced to this humming. So this is when Everest is living on the roof of Yi's apartment building, hiding out from the scientists and the animal collector. And we didn't even mention that before. That's not important. Science Factory people. So it the Yeti gets like caught on something or snagged and starts to like bleed. Like it has a visible scrape that is bleeding. And when the Yeti is I think she picks up her violin to make him feel better, right? And she doesn't play it in front of anyone because it reminds her of her dad. And she starts playing, and it's beautiful. And then he adds this counterpoint, and it's almost like, like a double bass string instrument. That's like the sound. And it's this beautiful counterpoint to it. And as he's humming, you're like, okay, this is... all right, he likes music. And then he starts glowing blue. Yeah. And then his wound closes. And then the flowers outside on the roof start to bloom like crazy.
It's such a good scene.
And then the music stops and you're left like, one, just aesthetically it is a beautiful scene, both for the ears and the eyes. And then you're left with this little seed of a mystery. Like, what just happened?
Yeah.
What did this Yeti do when it turned blue? And it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's when this movie kind of like grabbed me.
The first like 20 minutes or so of Abominable, or the first act,
Yeah.
is amazing. And then it has ups and downs from there, but the first 20 or 30 minutes are just spectacular. I thought it was going to be my favorite movie.
Yeah.
Of the 4.
I think if we had seen this before Smallfoot, we probably would like it more.
Yeah, and I still like it.
I still like
a lot.
it a lot,
but yeah, but the tone and the general vibe of it kind of switches, and the movie becomes something that I wasn't as on board with. But the first 20 or 30 minutes are just so beautiful.
Yeah. All right, Smallfoot. Okay, I've actually got a positive that I think might be different than the one we want. I want to talk about 2 positives. In this. I want to talk about a longer scene and a smaller moment.
Okay.
I don't really have a scene that's a negative. Do you?
I have a general.
Yeah, I think it's the same.
Go for it.
That like the first 2 songs.
Yeah.
Okay, are lyrically quite good. They set up some neat scenes and themes and characters, but you can't hear the voices.
Yeah.
And they've asked Channing Tatum does his own singing, and Zendaya, who's a pop singer.
Yeah.
They just say go pop on this, and it doesn't work because they're musical theater songs. They have pop. They're fun pop musical theater songs.
Not, I don't think it's the performances.
I think it's a combination. I think it's 20% the performances.
But I think more than the performances, like there is some pop.
Riffing
I can't understand
things,
but also like the words are so low in the mix.
Yeah, on RTV.
I mean, but
we watched
Frozen like 2 days before.
Yeah,
and that was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's a matter of like vocal timbre. Like Idina is standing out vocally anyway. Like she's just got,
and she is enunciating so that we can hear each word, because the words are important. Whereas like in a pop song, the words aren't necessarily important.
Right.
They're there, but they're not the focus.
And so the result is it's these scenes, the way they're presented, are undermining how actually good these songs are.
Yeah.
They make you think as an audience member, I don't need to pay attention to this. This is just the Coldplay song they shoved into this movie. But like the lyrics have a lot of building that they do, and they don't know what they have, maybe.
And I'll say especially the Zendaya.
Zendaya.
Especially the Zendaya song.
Yeah.
Like, we turned on closed captions.
We did, yeah.
Because it was just impossible.
Because it's about like seeing a world beyond yourself, and
the lyrics are great.
Having an open mind, yeah, really good.
But yeah, it was just hard to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about some positives, Kate?
All right. Well, do we want to talk about the scene?
Is the one that's not very rare?
Yeah. You mean very common?
Yeah. Is that the one?
Yes.
What's the other shout out?
So I've got a little shout out.
Okay, give us the little one first.
Danny DeVito is in this movie.
Oh my God, he's great.
One, Danny DeVito plays Migo's father. By the way, Migo and Michi, which are male and female leads, both alternate names for Yeti in various Tibetan-based languages.
Nice.
Neat. Migo's father is in charge of, his job in the town is ringing the gong every morning to make sure the sun rises.
Yeah.
And the way he does it is he flings off a catapult and his head gets bonked. And anyway, so he, after Migo discovers the Smallfoot and gets like banished from the town, because the stones can't lie, the stones aren't wrong, his morning routine is messed up, right? Because he doesn't have Migo to help him. And he like kind of flounders and fumbles it and rings the gong a few seconds after the sun rises anyway.
Yeah.
And he's the only one who sees it. And it's the thing that starts to make him crack, that he's like, oh, now my son says he saw a Smallfoot and I saw the sunrise and I didn't have to do the gong. And there is a scene where he tells Migo this and he reveals it. And he's like, I can't explain what I saw. If I'm wrong about if the stones are wrong about this, what else are, and just the writing is really good, and Danny DeVito's delivery is really strong. And I just thought that was a really nice moment that they allowed another character besides Migo and his contemporaries experience
to
this.
have that revelation. And it's really cool that like that like kind of traditionalist father seeing like, oh, maybe this whole thing has been wrong.
Well, and seeing a different angle on it, right? Because if he's wrong, his job is no longer needed. And what is his role in society? Yeah. And I think you have plenty of cognates to that in current political situations.
I have no idea.
If coal is bad for the environment, what do I do as a coal miner? So coal can't be bad for the environment because I am a coal miner, and that's the only thing I know how to do. And if I can't do that, then I'm scared. And I can't be scared. That's a weakness position.
If physically assaulting minorities isn't good, well, why am I a cop?
Wee. So I thought that was that was a scene that like who did this in an animated children's movie? Yeah. Cool. Yeah. But the other one.
Super strong. Yeah. May I? Okay. So we've got all this pop music that we can't really understand because it's mixed slow and because lyrically it's not performed super well. And then we get into this scene where like Common plays like the kind of chief of this tribe.
Yeah.
And
he's the stone keeper.
And some music starts and I'm kind of like, we've got another song. We'll have to turn on the closed captions and it'll be fine.
Well, and I'm thinking too, I'm like, these are the Something Rotten guys. This is Common. I'm about to hear Common rap way under his skill level, and it's going to be embarrassing for everyone.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
Something Rotten, by the way, Broadway show. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's not great. It's not bad.
There are some clever songs.
It's fine.
Yeah.
So this is by the guys who wrote that. We're like, yeah, like you said, Common's going to rap way under his skill level. And I'm thinking like, okay, we're going to get that Fern Gully song with Tone Loc.
You literally said that.
I did. And this song was amazing.
Like, not only does it slap, as the kids say,
it's a boppy,
good,
it's
and
a boppy
Common
jam.
gets to rap fast. Like, he gets to do his Common things.
Yeah.
Including Common also like is very much a socially conscious artist, and this song literally made my mouth drop. Like literally made my jaw drop. The depth of it. It's a song about, so here's the real situation, and this is why we lie about it. Yeah. And all of this is made up. It's like the red pill, right? Morpheus offering the red pill if you really want to see the world. But this movie is not about incels.
Let's
so
not
this is
say
fine.
red pill.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, this is the truth. Like, yeah, you're correct.
You're right.
This is the truth, and here's why we don't tell it. Mm-hmm. And he, like, the lyrics are really strong. His performance, like, in general, his performance is good.
It's like, his spoken is fine.
The casting is a little odd of a choice because he's like this elder, and Common's voice doesn't
have a particularly commanding speaking voice in the way that you expect looking at the visual design of this character.
Yeah, some of the visual designs and the character voices didn't super match up for me, but it didn't really bother me. But his performance in this like made up for anything that was weird early because it's so strong. Yeah, it's so strong.
It's up there with the top villain song, if we're gonna call it a villain song, maybe. It's up there.
Interesting.
Because it does a lot of things in the story. Yeah. Including just blows open this whole, like, it's a twist. It's a surprise twist.
And I love so much, and I think, again, with Common's voice and with Common's like skill, it really shows the confidence that this guy has when he's like, it's like, hey, not Michi, Migo is like, hey, I figured it out. The stones are wrong. And this guy, instead of being like, no, he's like, yeah.
The stones are wrong.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Like, so good.
Uh-huh. Yeah, there's so much. This movie is so good.
Yeah, we love Smallfoot.
Watch Smallfoot.
Yeah.
If you're going to watch one Bigfoot movie this year,
Make it Smallfoot.
make it Smallfoot.
If you're going to watch 2, make it Smallfoot and Abominable.
Yeah.
If you're going to watch 3, make it Smallfoot, Abominable, and then Smallfoot again. Don't watch the other 2. They're not great.
Yeah. You could skip them.
Yeah.
All right. So that's scene shout out.
Okay, it's going to get shorter
One
from here on
segment down. All
so
right.
MVPs?
MVP. Yeah.
Kate, we've got 4 movies.
Yeah.
You get to pick one creator, one character, one whatever. Pick one MVP for all 4 of these movies.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, my head is swirling with like footprints and snow.
I know, you're
and
like, is it gonna be the mom from Son of Bigfoot? Is it gonna be?
It's not.
Is it gonna be really important characters?
You know what? We've shouted out a lot. I'm gonna shout out Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
Because I have no experience with Channing Tatum. He is Magic Mike, right? He's Magic Mike? I think so.
I think so. I think he's G.I. Joe at some point.
I still don't think you're right that there were G.I. Joe movies, because I've never heard of them.
There were. I just don't know if Channing Tatum
Great.
is in them.
So yeah, he's like, you're like a male, like a hot male lead in live action movies,
Oh, you
right?
think he's hot, huh?
More action based. Well, like he's marketed as that. I don't. But
Okay,
he's
you can
marketed
if you
as that.
want to. I'm just teasing.
And like for him to deliver this performance that is very comedic,
Yeah.
and he is like doing a voice. He's not just sounding like himself,
Yeah.
which is what you expect when there's these kind of big live action stars attached to an animated movie. Yeah, I was super impressed. And he sings. Like, I wish the mix would have been better, but
Yeah.
he sings.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
He does okay.
Let's put Channing Tatum in more animated movies.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah.
I'm on board. Dick, you got an MVP for these 4?
Oh,
The SasQuad.
absolutely I don't. Let me see. All right, so my MVP is going to be someone who I may or may not have shouted out before, but I'm going to give it to Sergio Pablos. Because so far I've enjoyed everything of his that I've seen.
Yeah.
Because it's been Despicable Me, Klaus, and now this, which is just based off a story
Right.
of his, but still loved it.
Yeah.
So Sergio Pablos,
Sergio Pablos.
like tenuously involved, but just generally great. Mm-hmm. Sergio, nice job.
Cool. So, Dick, we have come to the crossover section.
Yes. So normally we cross over like 2 movies.
Yeah. An element from each of the movies that we watched.
But I want to challenge us.
Now there are 4.
Yeah. And instead of doing like 2 crossovers each or something like that, or just crossing over 2 movies, we are each going to take the 4 movies and pick elements from them to cross over.
Yeah.
And Kate, you're starting.
Well, all right, Dick. Here's where I start because I have these notes in front of me. So, SasQuad, Susan, and Lionel are on a journey to the Himalayas.
Yeah.
And the maps they use look extremely similar, almost identical, to the maps that Migo and his friends draw to represent their world.
That's true.
So, we start with a missing link story where Susan and Lionel are in search of his cousins, but his cousins are Migo and friends, and they're nice.
Yeah.
So, also that means that Common is in cahoots with the Adventurers Club boss, and they're both trying to keep their respective species in the dark about each other.
I mean, that's a little like Klaus, right?
Is it?
Where the 2 rival factions are in cahoots with each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I like that.
And so then,
Yeah, you started with the...
I started with the 2 movies that I could start with. All right. So then also, oh no, Migo's family is missing one of their children. The child has been away for a while, and oh, the child comes back at the end of the movie. It's Everest,
Aww.
who leads them in an additional musical number written by Puggy from Son of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
That involves Everest's bass sounds, and Channing Tatum and Hugh Jackman have a duet together, and it's great. And
That
then
doesn't sound true.
Bustopher Jones and Lionel Frost host the Tonys together
Okay.
because they both have experience doing so.
That sounds lovely.
That's weak. Dick, please do better
Oh.
on your crossover.
Okay. All right. So, all of these movies happened. They all exist in canon. So, all of these characters have already completed their journeys.
Oh, okay.
Except, guess what? Hair.com guy, hair company man,
Hairco?
he's back. Yeah.
Oh, no.
And he's like, oh man, why evilly cure people of male pattern baldness when I can suck magic out of a Yeti that can't even talk back? So Hair Club Man is trying to get the magic from Everest, from Abominable.
Yeah.
Right? And Everest is just like back visiting China or something.
Okay.
When Hair Club Man traps him. And Everest speaks to nature and calls upon the power of his brothers, the Missing Link and Smallfoot.
Or Migo?
Migo.
Or Smallfoot. What do
Migo,
you mean?
yeah.
Okay.
The Yetis in Smallfoot have come down and met the humans.
Okay.
So now we've got humans and Yetis fighting against Hair Club Man.
Yeah. And a SasQuad.
And a Sasquatch.
Nice.
Yep.
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
I actually might watch that. Are there yaks?
Yes.
Yeah.
So many yaks.
So many yaks.
Okay, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of like the Transformers movie, where it's like, hey, you have to kill off all these Transformers and use these new Transformers, make a movie out of it. That's what this feels
To use
like
all
right
these
now.
Yetis.
Yeah.
Here are the Yetis. Go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think this would be a better movie than Transformers because it would be pretty hard not to be.
All right, Weird Al's in it though.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Why
Deal.
not? All right, Dick. Re-release, special edition.
Oh, the final cut
Or-
cut?
Oh, send him into the vault.
Yeah.
It's time for the final
Cut.
After all.
Okay. So let's try and bust through this pretty quickly.
All right, Bustopher Jones through this.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly. Yeah.
That's who James Corden plays in Cats, just in case anyone does not understand this joke.
Bustopher Jones plays James Corden.
Fine.
He has this entire time.
Fine.
It's been a cat.
Go see
dressed
Cats.
as a human. He can unzip his James Corden costume.
Go see Cats. It's awful.
Bonkers.
And I can't stop thinking about it.
All right, Missing Link. Re-release, special edition, or vault?
A special edition where we save all of the animation and none of the dialogue or story. I don't know. I don't want to ever see this movie again.
Yeah.
But I don't think it deserves to be thrown into the vault because it looks great. But I hate the dialogue and the story and the characters and everything about it.
I am going
It's a special edition where we redo the entire movie.
So, new movie. Okay. I am going to piggyback off your idea, and I'm going to say, let's try it as a live action. Same cast.
Yeah.
And, like, I think what happens is it ends up as, like, one of the better Mel Brooks movies, where there is a sincere... Okay, hear me out, okay?
Uh-huh.
But, like...
One of the better Mel Brooks movies.
Well, so it's, like, farcical, right? Like, the way these characters are...
Like
especially,
Spaceballs?
No.
Like one of the worst Mel Brooks movies?
I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Kind of like Producers. There's some sincerity.
Okay.
Maybe I'm just thinking of the musical. Maybe a lot has been changed from the movie.
Let's keep going.
Anyway,
with it.
so it's live action, right? Hugh Jackman's in it. Zach Galifianakis is dressed up as a SasQuad. Zoe Saldana is in it. Fine. But like, you roll your eyes, sure. But whatever. I don't want to put the time into casting.
No,
new
we
people.
can leave Zoe. She's
So,
fine.
but like her character is like weird and cartoony, and I think you can make it work. I think it works better in live action.
Yeah.
Especially like I feel like it would grab hold of a tone that's not just dull. If you were to make it live action,
Yeah.
Mel Brooks is maybe an imperfect analog, but he's kind of got those characters. Especially, I think I'm thinking of his female characters that are like kind of the straight person, but kind of like this. They have this like absurd comic streak to them.
I think he could get that tone right.
Yeah.
Perfectly. I'm almost thinking of this as like a Terry Gilliam movie.
Okay.
Where it's like a little. I mean, it's English still, so well, he's American. Never mind. Anyway, where it's like a little absurd and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But still like very funny and poignant.
Yeah.
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 Great. I think that sounds way better than
Live
the movie
action
we
is
watched.
never a good idea, except here.
Except
live action
right
remakes.
here. Yeah.
This is the only time it works.
Yep.
All right. Son of Bigfoot.
Vault. I don't care.
Especially if there's 3. I mean, yeah. Okay.
We couldn't find. There was not a scene worth shouting out in this movie.
No, there's not. So I guess I want a new movie, but I don't want it to be this. But I like the idea of a son inheriting superpowers. I like the idea of a superhero origin movie that has a father-son relationship where the father has the powers but has done something different with them. There's probably already this movie.
Spider-Verse?
I think this movie has probably been done not with superpowers but with something else, right?
Yeah.
Where like it ends up being a great power, great responsibility story in that the dad takes his powers and he hides them.
Yeah.
And the son wants to use them to help. Anyway.
Yeah. I guess I want this movie to.
But I vault this specific movie.
Yeah. I kind of want this to be like the original draft of Toy Story where they basically made it and they were like,
everything.
They were like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah.
Let's fix it.
Yeah.
I want that. I want that to happen.
Yeah.
No.
Abominable.
Special edition, remove Coldplay, put in something better.
Yeah. I think, I think this movie is good. I don't think this movie is as good as it thinks it is, which makes me upset. Like, when you start to pick things apart and you're like, well, why this?
Yeah.
Why this? Especially like the animal collector versus
The second
scientist
act is weird.
She's pretending to be a zoologist because she has a higher bidder. But do we know who that higher bidder is?
Yeah, so the villains are a guy who collects
Eddie
animals.
Izzard.
It's played by Eddie Izzard, and a woman
Red-haired
who
zoologist.
she's pretending to be a zoologist so that she can
Trap the Yeti
so
for the higher bidder, her other client, which you don't meet, right?
yeah. The villain is not great in this movie.
So what I'm saying is, like, make it a ride, because this would be a beautiful ride. Are you serious? Like, you're riding on the back of the Yeti at some point. You're flying on a giant dandelion and at another point. You're going through these beautiful landscapes of China. Make it a ride, or like give it to Pixar. Take out the villains and make the emotional story more or tighter.
Yeah. I could see this as a good like kind of an extended, like a 15-minute-er. Mm-hmm. Like a nice long ride.
Yeah.
You get that beautiful Yeti violin thing going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
Last movie, Kate.
You said Abominable special.
Yeah, I said special edition, take out Coldplay.
Great.
Yep.
That's right.
Smallfoot, Kate. go.
Re-release. Yeah, I'm worried that this got lost in the Bigfoot explosion of 2018 to
Like
2019.
it did okay, but I'd never.
It has the biggest box office of these four.
Yeah.
But like, I don't hear my kids talking about Smallfoot, and it's quite good.
Yeah.
And quite important, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, re-release and give it a big old marketing push.
Nice. Special edition. Fix the audio.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
just like I believe in all of the actors and singers that they have. I'm not saying we have to go the Disney route and get theater singers.
No.
We need to go the Disney route and make sure that Kristen Bell can sing musical theater. Like just be like, look, I appreciate that you're doing pop. We need musical theater. Let's go.
Or I mean, Moulin Rouge, right? Like Ewan McGregor
Yeah.
and Nicole Kidman sound really good in that movie. Neither of them have
Neither of
traditional
them are
musical
singers.
theater voices, but they figured out a way to
make it
direct
work.
those voices into something that feels storytelling wise. Yeah. Cool. All right.
This was fun.
SasQuad.
Yeah. So what 8 movies are we doing next
Oh,
week?
no.
No?
Oh, boy. Yeah, we can only do this like once a year.
And we can only do this when we have a little time off
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
Because we wouldn't have got through it otherwise.
Nope.
Well, Kate, this was super fun. Do we know what we're doing for the next episode? Or is that still up in the air? That might still be up in the air.
I think it's still up in the air.
We have a couple ideas. We have not decided yet, so that's exciting.
Yeah. And given that, if you have suggestions,
Oh, we could like people reach out to us to suggest movies for us?
they sure could.
Oh, how could they do that?
Well, they could catapult themselves through a series of rock holes into a gong and let us know that way. Or if
But
it's
if they
more,
don't have a gong.
yeah, if it's more convenient, we're on Twitter, Cellmates Podcast, Facebook,
Yeah.
Cellmates Podcast,
Okay.
email, cellmatespodcast@gmail.com.
Okay.
And if you just want more information or, links to all the different podcast apps that we're on, you can go to our website, cellmatespodcast.com.
That's correct. That's all true.
Yeah.
Those are all true things.
Yeah, please don't suggest 4. We can't do this again for a long time. So, yeah, keep it to 2 if you can.
Keep it light.
But, if there's a really compelling reason, I guess.
Suggest anything you want, but understand that we might pare it down.
We are mere Smallfoots
Thank you.
without magical powers.
Not to be confused with Littlefoots, which are dinosaurs.
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 Well, Dick,
For Cellmates Podcast, I've been Dick Ward.
I'm Kate Phillips.
Goodbye.